Hi chaps, you're very welcome back to the Man Cave of an Acting Teacher for another video today. Thank you again for all of your thank yous, all your private messages and your comments and things to do with the videos that we've got going on here. I'll keep making them for you. If people are watching them and following along, that's great. So today we're going to talk a little bit about the spirituality of acting. Okay, now, I'm not a particularly spiritual person. I don't even know whether spirituality is a kind of a word that is appropriate to what we're talking about, but certainly creativity is. Okay, now people explore the world in different ways. Okay, and obviously there's a lot of different people in the world. Let's chart that first of all. There's loads of different people, right? And some people find that they prefer just to stay within their own little sort of bubble, right? And they go and they work in their job and they get paid and they come home and they've got their family or whatever else that they do and they stay in that bubble. They go to their local pub and they watch Premier League football and everything else, and maybe they'll watch a bit of TV soap opera, and that's the level of their entertainment that they enjoy. That's what that person does, okay? Now there's other people in the world who are more curious than that, okay? And it doesn't make them better than them, right? This isn't better or worse, and I'll get to that in a minute, right? But some people are more curious. And you probably found, if you're an actor, which you probably are if you're watching this, that when you were at school or when you were younger, you found that you were curious about stuff, yeah? That you wanted to know more, that things kind of took your attention, and you wanted to know more, and you often couldn't get that information as a child because maybe, you know, you couldn't watch this particular movie because of the age rating or something on it, and you just felt this need to learn more and to know more, yeah? Now those people, mostly in my experience, become either artists or scientists, okay? Now a scientist obviously is exploring the world through experimentation, through micro-experimentation sometimes, or perhaps exploring the universe, you know, exploring existence in those ways, yeah? Artists do something very, very similar, just in an artistic rather than scientific sense. So artistically, what the actor is actually doing is exploring different worlds, yeah? So if I pick out, okay, let's take The Diary of Anne Frank, which me and my friend Jess, who's in the States now, were in many years ago in Sydney. Jessica played Anne, and I played her boyfriend, Peter Van Dan, and we were in our 20s, and we were playing these two teenagers, and we were locked in this attic and all the rest, and putting on this play. Now, in order to do that, I'm an Australian in my 20s living in Sydney, okay? But what I'm doing is I'm exploring what it's like to be a European living in Europe, in the war, in World War II, in late 30s, early 40s, and I'm discovering the world of what it is to be Jewish, okay? That's got nothing to do with my experience of being an Aussie growing up in suburbia in southeast Queensland, right? That's a whole other world. So if I explore, what I do when I get that play, and what you do, and all actors, right? I'm just using this as an example. We explore a whole world, right? It's like a history lesson. It's like a penetrative history lesson, a cultural lesson. And we're learning so much about that world, and then we experience that for a period of maybe, I don't know, 6 weeks of rehearsal and 4 weeks of performance, or whatever it ends up being. And then we put that aside and we take on a new experience, yeah? And a new play. Now, spiritually speaking, of course, what that's doing, creatively speaking, if I can use that word, is it's taking my attention off myself and putting it onto a subject, yeah? So I feel less like the world is all about me. I feel less introverted. I feel less introspective. I don't have time so much to worry about myself and whether I'm good looking enough or whether I'm losing my hair or whatever the hell's going on, because I'm too interested in immersing myself in some other project, yeah, in something else, yeah, and that's why I'm staying in that positive creative space. Now in our business, of course, people tell us, and they're wrong, that it's a very competitive business. No, it's not. Not at all. I'm not competing with anyone else my age. I'm not competing certainly with anyone not my age or gender, right? I was just literally just now teaching a young fella. He's auditioning for one of the major acting schools in England, right? And he's auditioning using a Shakespeare monologue, and I helped him for an hour with that monologue. And I really want him to get into this big school because he really wants to get into this big school, you know? How and in what way am I competing with him? Obviously I'm not, right? How and in what way am I competing with another guy my own age, right? So let's say I get an audition for a particular TV show and another guy my age, my height, my weight, my hair color, whatever else, also goes for that audition. I don't know what he's done. I haven't seen his self-tape. I wasn't in the room when he did his screen test or audition. How, in what way can I possibly compete with him? I don't know what he did. So how can I best it? I can't. So he brings his training, his technique, and his artistry to bear on that audition. I bring my training, my technique, and my artistry, which is probably different to his, to bear on that as well. And I do the best I can, and he does the best he can. And like I said in a previous video about the business, more than likely, both of us will do a great job. And the director will then choose based on something that is completely out of both of our control. All right? So there's no competition, right? Now, the reason I talk about that is because when we start to get competitive, we start to get negative, yeah? When you get competitive, you start thinking about yourself and how you're not as good as someone else, okay? Now, again, if I can use the example of this young fellow I was just teaching, he was saying to me, oh yeah, David Tennant did this, and I saw it on YouTube, and I want to do what he did. And I said to him, mate, that's absolutely pointless. And whoever's auditioning you for this school does not want to see that. They don't want to see your imitation of David Tennant, even if it's a brilliant imitation of David Tennant, which it more than likely won't be, because they're not auditioning David Tennant, they're auditioning you, mate. You know, what have you got? They want to see the potential of what you have as the next great Shakespearean actor on the Royal Shakespeare stage. That's what they want to see. That's what's going to get you into that school. It's not going to be how well you can imitate David Tennant, yeah? So what this guy's doing is he's competing. So he's saying to himself, how am I not David Tennant? Oh, I can't do it as well as David Tennant. I can't do it the same as David Tennant, yeah? So if somebody else in the business that you know, a friend of yours, gets an agent, right? And you don't get an agent. Why is that? Okay? Is it because you're competing with them? No. Okay, what they've done is they have done their training really well. They've got a really nice bit of showreel material that they're very proud of, and they've confidently contacted that agent, and that agent has gone, yeah, this is really interesting stuff. Have you done those things? You're not competing with that person. The difference is that that person's done something that you didn't do, yeah? So instead of you looking at it and thinking, oh yeah, I haven't done that, I haven't sent off my showreel material, or I need a bit more showreel material or something a little different here, or whatever, instead you're going, I'm not good enough. That person's in some way better than me. I'm not good enough. I'm not good looking enough. I'm not this, I'm not that. And I'm turning this all in onto myself. Now, where in that thinking can you possibly have room for real creativity? You can't. Your head and your being and your system is so full of toxic competitiveness that you just don't have room. You don't have time. You don't even feel like doing anything. You don't even feel like picking up a monologue and working on it. Okay, now we can be creative all the time. Like I said, we go from project to project to project as actors. Now, if we're lucky, all right, or if we're, not even luck, but if let's just use the word luck for the hell of it, right? If we're lucky, we go from professional paid project to professional paid project to professional paid project. Lucky you, right? But even if we don't, right, we can just keep on being creative. I'm feeling good. I know I'm good. I've trained really well. I've got a bit of time on my hands. I tell you what, I'm going to grab a volume of plays. I'm going to pick out a monologue. I'm going to contact a friend. I'm going to pick out a scene. I'm going to work on that with them. I'm going to apply my technique to it. Okay, so I get practice, practice, practice. And I'm not competing with anybody. I'm just doing that thing. And the more of those things that I do, the better I get at my acting. Yeah? And this lovely feeling, this lovely spiritual nature that I'm talking about, where I don't feel that I'm trapped in my own self and my own self-importance, but in fact I'm looking out at the world. I'm looking out at another culture, another life that isn't mine. Connecting with that culture, that history, that life, learning about it, yeah? And the more I do that over and over again, the more intelligent I become, okay? Because I learn about other cultures and other histories and other peoples and other individual human beings. I become more creative because my creative powers get better and better. I become a better painter the more I practice, a better pianist the more I practice, a better actor the more I practice. Yeah, I start to tick boxes. I start to say to myself, oh, I haven't done Chekhov yet. Let's get a Chekhov play. I haven't done Racine yet. Let's get some Racine. I haven't tackled Molière yet. Let's get some Tartuffe. And I'm going to do a scene from Tartuffe. And next thing you know, you've covered so many different wonderful forms of theatre, so many writers, and at the same time explored so many worlds, so many cultures, so many nations, so many accents, all of these things. That's the joy of acting. That's the spiritual, if you want to call it that, creative thing that we should be in and that we should be pursuing all the time, no matter what anyone else is doing, right? And no matter whether or not we're being paid for it or not. Right, again, I've talked too long. I will stop, all right? I'll talk again tomorrow. You guys have a great time, all right? Again, if you want any classes with me, one-to-one, I'm doing 1 or 2 a day at the moment, which is lovely, and I'd be very happy to help you with that too, okay? Give me a shout if you have any questions. Have a nice time. Bye.